Hello, everybody. My name is Sydney Bryant. I'm chair of the Undergraduate Student Government Elections Board, and this is Amanda Tam, who will let introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm a USG senator.
And we're the moderators for this year's Spring 2017's Undergraduate Student Government Elections debate between Executive Council. And for you guys, just so you know, you'll have 90 seconds to answer each question. If you don't use all of your time, you can respond to what another candidate has said or add to your comments at the end. Okay, so we're gonna start by having everyone introduce yourselves and talk about what you have learned from your campus experiences. And we'll start with presidential candidates, and we'll start with Lydia.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Lydia Sinatus. I am an economics major. Well, let me start with my class. I'm actually a junior. I'm an economics major with a double minor in business management and international studies. I'm your current VP of clubs and organizations, as well as being a board member on the FSA Board of Directors, as well as being a JPU SUNY International Affairs and Global Affairs Scholar. Also serving on the Campus Safety Advisory Committee. Do you want, I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
So the question is, what have you learned from your campus experiences?
Sure. So I want to talk about the one that I believe that has been most impactful to me, which has been the VP of Clubs and Orgs position. I believe it's made me a better communicator. I've been able to really sit down with various clubs and organizations, various individuals, and be able to communicate with them and sympathize with their issues, whatever concerns they're bringing to me. And I've learned to just, hey, I understand you're going through this, but talk them through certain things and make sure that they understand. Because I've realized in the past that a lot of the frustration that clubs and orgs have is because they don't understand certain processes, and when you just sit there and explain to them the process, like this is why this is happening, and you're not able to do this now, but you can do this then, and this is why. When you sit there and explain to them, that frustration is basically erased. But I believe being a really good communicator and being able to sympathize and advocate for students, especially clubs and orgs in my current position, has made me has been a very useful and beneficial experience for me.
Okay, thank you very much. So Ion will give you some time to answer that question as well, 90 seconds.
Sure, hi. So hi guys, my name is Ayan Zubair. I'm a sophomore in Honors College. I'm double majoring in AMS and economics. Pretty much my involvement on campus has really stemmed from my involvement in the Muslim Student Association, as well as being part of USG. Ever since the first day I stepped foot on campus, I started working for the current president, co-lead, first as an intern, then as an assistant, and I've eventually worked my way up to the chief of staff. And my biggest thing I've learned through my experiences through in USG is at the beginning, when I was running chief of staff, I had to go to meetings with President Stanley and the provost and stuff like that. And there's people who are really influential, and at the beginning I was very starstruck, right? Meeting these people who had so much power, so much influence, and through my experiences, I've become more comfortable in advocating on behalf of students, and making sure that at the end of the day, the student's voice is heard, and that while it may be difficult to talk to an administrator or a staff member and tell them the honest truth, it's something necessary and something that we get paid for to do. So that's pretty much my 2 cents on the topic.
Okay, thank you. And we'll go to the EVPs, Executive Vice Presidents, and we'll start with, again, the Lit Party.
Hi, my name is Bree Majette, and I'm a junior at Stony Brook University. I'm a biology major, and I'm also a member of the Women in Science and Engineering program. I'm also a resident assistant in Benedict College, which is in the Leadership and Service Community in HQuad. And on top of that, I've also won the title of Miss Black and Gold, which is a scholarship pageant for the Brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and I work very closely with them in their programming and their decision review life on campus. One of the most important roles I believe that I've had on campus is being a resident assistant, and in that one thing that I've really taken from that is to learn how to expect the unexpected. I've learned that assessing situations and conflicts requires different strategies, it requires different approaches, and every situation is different. Also on top of that, what I really do enjoy about my position is that I've been exposed to students of so many different walks of life, and I've been a servant leader to them. Servant leadership is what I've really taken from that, and that means putting others before myself, and just learning how to be there for someone, be a friend, be someone who's a resource, and be someone who's able to approach any conflict that they may have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and we'll go to Party Next Door's EVP. Yes, sorry.
Okay, can I just ask you to say the, oh, this is loud. Can I ask you to say the question?
Yes, so the question is, well, it's really introduce yourself, and then what have you learned from your campus experiences?
So, my name is Christina Dorff. I am a sophomore environmental studies major with a concentration in marine sciences. Currently, I am the Senior Vice President of the Residence Hall Association, which we're a student-run programming and advocacy organization. Last year, I was the senator for my hall council. I'm also a fellow for the Information Technology Studies. I'm a fellow for the fellows class, so I'm keeping up with that, and I plan to do that for the rest of college. And I'm also part of the Stony Brook Pipette, so it's an a cappella group, so I have a bunch of different types of involvements. The main thing that I've learned, probably the most important leadership position that I've held, is being the Senior Vice President of RHA. Our organization really is focused on advocating for students and making sure that we have the best campus possible, and that we're all really just enjoying our college experiences, because that's what we're here to do. We're getting our degrees, but at the same time, we're wanting to just have the best experience possible. So we focus on community building, and I think that that's the most important thing that I've learned, that there's a way for every student to feel comfortable on campus and to foster a welcoming community.
Thank you. Okay, and Treasurer can go ahead and speak on that.
Hey guys, my name is Alex Barad. I'm a junior in economics with a minor in business. To be completely honest with you, I've been involved in pretty much every facet of student life and everywhere on campus, whether it was my involvement as a marketing intern and corporate sponsorship intern for athletics, an LDS fellow, I was on my hall council, student voice on campus dining, so advocating for everyone's needs, dietary restrictions, stuff like that, to FSA board of directors along with whoever our vendor is on campus. Some of my other involvement include I was a College of Arts and Sciences senator last year. As that, I sat as the vice chair of the Special Services Committee, which gives probationary budgets to newly formed clubs on campus, along with being part of a grant committee, along with Leg Review. I'm also Green Dot trained and Red Watch Band trained, which I think is one of the best things we offer on campus and really set us apart from a lot of different campuses around the country. Definitely the one thing that I've seen on my 3 years here on campus is really that clubs and organizations are the lifeblood of our campus. They really separate Stony Brook from anywhere else on earth. The ability that we give nearly $1.2 million to clubs and organizations throughout our entire campus and entrust student leaders to make a difference in their own small communities that we cannot reach as individuals, I think is something that truly, truly separates us. And the ability to help foster and create these loving and caring relationships with the e-boards and the clubs, they become families. I've seen families be created by clubs and organizations, and that's something that hopefully, if elected as treasurer, I can really do and continue to foster that relationship, whether it's through leadership conferences and stuff like that, but that's definitely the biggest aspect that I've seen on campus and one of the things that makes Stony Brook the greatest campus on earth. We genuinely care about our clubs and orgs, and we continue to help foster and make them bigger and stronger every single year.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to VP of Academic Affairs for the Lit Party.
Hello, I'm Sunny Chen. I'm junior, majoring in civil engineering. I have been part of ISA, International Student Ambassador. So during that time, I've encountered there are thousands of international students that have come to the campus. So yeah, and then I've seen they adjust the country and the campus because I've been through that. So I understand how is this like, and I help them. I was the like the leader. I help them to adjust the life in Stony Brook. So I'm also a member of Red Watch Band, which makes me care about alcohol drinking health problem. And I'm also, right now, I'm part of treasurer office. And during this time, I work for USG, which is a wonderful experience because I have learned that how USG work, and that's why I'm trying to run for VP Academic this year.
Thank you. VP of Academic Affairs for Party Next Door. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Kingle. I'm currently a sophomore and I'm double majoring in biochemistry and business management. So currently on campus, what I'm really involved in would be being an associate editor to Young Investigators Review, which is a club that basically takes science, literature, anything involved in research and creates a publication out of it that's student-based. And in addition to this, I'm involved for He for She, which is in a university that's one of the only He for She universities in North America. And in addition to that, I'm heavily involved in undergraduate student research in oncology in the hospital. I think one of the biggest things on campus that's really influenced me and helped me develop leadership skills would be my He for She steering committee. So basically, before this semester, He for She wasn't in the club on this campus. And what this meant to me was that this is something I really love, this is what I want to do, and I want to go forth and pursue it. So what this club taught me is that you can't let the small things get you down. And the best thing about this campus is that even though you have so many trials and tribulations before you, it doesn't break you down and it doesn't break your character. Instead, it actually does the opposite and lifts you up. Because you have so many different peers and faculty and staff that are around you and they just want to see you grow as individuals instead of saying no to your face and just throwing you down a different path. And in addition to this, it also let me grow as a person because I hear things from my fellow peers and what they want to see on this campus, things that affect all genders and things that we should change because we want to see our fellow students be safe in a campus that they genuinely love. And as someone on this club that we all had to fight for to have, you have to listen to your friends and what the students want, and you have to bring forth these ideas to the general public as well as faculty that will say no to you, but you still have to put yourself out there and say, no, this is what we want, this is what's going to happen because this is what the students want, and it's beneficial to them and other people around us, and you just have to put yourself out there, and I think that really taught me how leadership skills.
Okay, thank you very much. So we will move on to VP of Student Life candidates. Yes.
Excuse me. Good evening. My name is Jaliel Amador. I am a current junior. I just decided to declare a comp sci minor. I'm a business major, so I'll probably be staying here fifth year. So there's that. I'm a business honors student here on campus. I also happen to be the current USG Vice President of Student Life. My campus involvement, it's much an involved residential one, because we all know there's a big difference between a commuter student and a residential one. And I think as a residential student, I definitely took advantage of all the involvement that I can get. I was audio-visual technician for the SAC by the first day of school. I was the office assistant for the quad office in Middleton. I was also the office assistant for Gray College, an intern for the fraternity sorority office, as well as I served on the academic judiciary board. I also happen to be part of the EOP program here on campus, and I was a conference assistant at one point, and I also happen to be a teaching assistant. So those are the things I'm mostly involved in. However, what made them really an experience for me is the fact that I didn't want to stop there, and that's the real reason why I decided to run for USG VP of Student Life, and I felt like I can give other students, the involvement in the life that I got. So, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, and VP of Student Life for Party Next Door.
I'm Rakia. I'm a double major of biology and linguistics. Clearly I'm running for VP of Student Life. I have a minor in bioengineering and I'm pre-law. My involvement has been, this year specifically, is diversity peer educator, AIDS peer educator, member of MSA, which is Muslim Student Association, and one of the original members of the Red Watch Band care team, and I'm a university scholar. So what I think I've learned out of all of my involvement on campus has been a lot of what other people have said. Like Lydia focused really on communication and working on your communication, and I've learned that specifically from my peer education experiences. Christina mentioned how important it is to have student life on campus and have everyone welcome to clubs and organizations, because that really makes your student life experience, and everyone is a Seawolf, whether they're commuter or resident. I really want to make them feel welcome on student life. What I think I've learned most significantly is that students can really change the world, at least Stony Brook's world. With the effectiveness of peer education, with the effectiveness of our Red Button Care Team, I'm sure you've heard of Red Button's exponential growth in terms of how many people we've trained, from going to 200 in a semester to almost 1,200. So I think it's been super experience, and I think in just peer education and students can really make a really difference on campus. So thank you.
Thank you. And our last candidate for VP of Communications, Justine, you can go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Justine. I'm a junior here in journalism, a minor in political science, and I'm pre-law. I'm a former University Scholars Representative, former RHA Senator, and last year I was Dewey Hall Council President. This year I am a staff writer for The Statesman and The Osprey, and I am the marketing director for Pre-Law Society. Last year I became president of Dewey Hall Council, which was one of the smallest hall councils on campus in terms of just student interest of the people that lived in the building, and we had one of the lowest budgets out of all of them. It was almost embarrassing. So when I took it on, Amanda Tam knows this, when I took it on with this belief that community is an important thing, and that where you live and getting to know the people around you was something that needed to be pushed, and that people could enjoy it. And I learned that students really take advantage of student life and get joy out of it only if you really cater to what they want. So I physically went door to door to find out what these students wanted, and one of those was, interestingly, a haunted house around October, and it became one of the most successful events that Dewey had ever had. We had about 300 students when we had been having an attendance of 0 for all of the events. Anyway, another thing I've learned is through journalism, in my stories, a lot of them have to have a lot of student sources, so I've talked and had conversations with a lot of students every day, just through my work, and I've learned that there's no such thing as a typical student. I've learned that you can't generalize anything. You have to get out and find out what students want, what their opinions are, and you can't just stereotype. Another side note is I moved to Long Island right after I graduated high school. Sorry, am I going off time? Oh, should I stop? Okay, I'll stop. Anyway, I just love campus, and I'm trying to find a way to give back. All right.
Okay, thank you. So,
Hello. So for the next question, 2 candidates from each party can answer the question. So 2 answers.
2 any two?
Yes. Ready? What is one policy of the current USG administration that you think works really well, and what is one that does not?
So I think it's better to start with the negative so we can get to the positive and not a positive note. So I'm going to talk about a negative. One of the things that we currently see in the USG code along with the Constitution is how to create a new club in the SSC process. So I don't know if any of you guys realize that's my negative. So on campus, you get registered by student activities for people who don't know, and then you have to come into the USG doors, speak to the VP of Clubs and Orgs along with the judiciary in order to become USG recognized. There are clubs sitting currently on our campus that have been sustainable clubs that have been fostering community for years and years and years that have never had the opportunity to walk into the USG door. And whether that's on their own accords or their previous e-board accords, I think that one of the rules that I think should be amended is the year in between getting recognized and getting funding in special circumstances. I believe that if a club has shown that it's sustainable and shown that it is a club that can make a difference on campus and they have a very good attendance and they have certain things, they should have the ability to move past that 1-year waiting period. Obviously, this would have to be taken on a case-by-case basis, but that is what every single club goes through. They have to go through SSC, they have to go through Senate. So using this as a platform to help foster clubs. One club specifically that I want to speak about during petitioning, I was talking. Thank you very much. But yeah, shorten the period.
All right, so it's positive, right? So one thing I do that USG does that's really positive is its efforts towards gender equality and towards eliminating sexual violence on college campuses, right? So two things I can speak about very personally is that, as Nicole mentioned previously, about he for she. So we've, in USG, been working with, the United Nations mission of he for she to make this a more gender equitable campus, right? Something I personally have been working on very much in the past few months is which is pretty much, Joe Biden and the White House, they came up with this event, this initiative to, fight, the plague that is sexual violence on college campuses. And we're doing a really good job of that. And one thing that, could make us go above and beyond is the, to secure free menstrual pads and tampons in every single, women's and gender neutral bathroom on campus. Because at the end of the day, my saying is, there's free condoms available in every single dorm on campus, right? And sex is optional, but having a period isn't. So at the end of the day, if we want to call ourselves a gender equal university, and he for she university and ASLS university, we need to secure free menstrual pads and tampons for each female on campus.
So I'll be speaking about the negative. So one of the policies that I think that USG definitely should change actually aligns with somewhat of my position. So I've been talking with many individuals, some administrators, and we all, there's a couple of us who really do believe that the SAB grant should be open to more than just individuals. So right now there's around, $12,000 allocated for people to come and, throw on a huge event, have a huge initiative. They have an initiative, they want to come to SAB, they propose something, and they could possibly make that event happen, and we would help them do so. But unfortunately, organizations, clubs who are recognized can't come for that grant because they have their own grant, from the Treasurer's Office. But clubs who are not recognized, as well as organizations like Greek fraternities or sororities, or even, Students Helping Honduras who doesn't get funding, they would, they should be able to come and ask for an SAB grant. So that's one of the negative policies.
So I think a really great positive is something that the current USG president, Cole Lee, is in the process of implementing, which is the diversity director, which is an ex officio member of USG. And obviously that position came about in light of the events that occurred in late January and what has been accumulating over the past few months. And I think it's a very influential position, and it's something that I stand for, and I truly appreciate that it was created, and something that the entire party appreciates and stands for, which is ensuring that we're celebrating the great diversity of our student body, making sure that there is inclusiveness and intersectionality, and making sure that there is the equal treatment of all of our student body members. Because like I said, there's so many different types of students, and it's important for each and every one of them to feel safe on this campus. And despite laws that are currently being implemented, that on this campus, we're all one and we're all protected, and we're basically all the same despite our backgrounds. Hopefully I didn't go too far.
Thank you.
Sir, why did you pick the senators who are in your party? So you can discuss what their strong points are, and why you think they'll do really well as USG senators next semester.
Okay, so when selecting, well, it just obviously wasn't just myself selecting senators, but when selecting senators to serve on the lit party, as I said, something we stand for is inclusiveness, equality, and diversity. So I wanted to pick basically a Senate that represented all of that. There was not too many people of the same race, of the same ethnicity, of the same religious background. It's very diverse, because I think the key is, and commuters as well, and residential people as well. The key to USG operating well, in my opinion, is having better representation. And last year, our current Senate is diverse only because last year we had a very brave party called the Students' Party that decided to come about, and in that party they had a lot of international students, and we don't typically have a lot of international students in USG. And I think it's because of that party being bold and brave and stepping up that we had a more diverse USG this year, and I want to continue that trend. I want to continue a trend of having more diverse people serving in our USG because that means that our student body will be better represented.
Thank you.
So, obviously, I actually said, I wasn't the only person to, choose senators, but the main criteria I had was that the person needed to already be a proven leader, right? They needed to show that they were involved in the community in some way, shape, or form, right? We have had, our party, we have a bunch of RAs, right? People who, lead their communities in their buildings, people who are involved in hall council, residents, commuters, international students, people of every single walk of life, every single gender, every single sexuality, and, every single religion. Because at the end of the day, Stony Brook is an incredibly diverse place. You have ranked president, a Muslim guy, and a black girl, right? This is an amazing, a really amazing thing that, especially in today's day and age, right? That we should appreciate and we should admire. And our party is incredibly diverse, but also incredibly skilled as well. We made no compromises, and in the quality of people we got, and we obviously preferred quality over quantity.
Okay, thank you. So the next question will be, one person can answer the question, but the question is specifically addressed to either the president, the VP of Student Life, or the treasurer from each party. But only one of you can answer, so obviously you can choose amongst yourselves who will. And the question is, what will you cut from the USG budget to follow through with your platforms and platform initiatives?
To be completely honest with you, hearing the word cut is something that no one wants to hear. The amount of money that we're given by the student activity fee, $199 each year per student, is something that really separates us and really allows us to grow as a university. What I would cut, the way I would want to go about, I just want to answer this question in the way that I would budget. So the way that I would budget is put clubs and organizations at the top. And after that, I would fill in all the blanks after. And when it comes down to it, there's a lot, to be completely honest with you, anyone who's ever walked into the USG doors, sometimes there's assistants and there's people that work in the undergraduate student government that are taking paychecks and taking money directly from students and not adding something to the community. And that's genuinely something that I'm against and I'm going to fight for if elected. That making sure that we hold our executive council accountable for the amount of hours that they're signing off on these people's paychecks. To be completely honest with you, I have friends, I have foes, I have people in USG. And there are people on both sides of the aisle that do not deserve some of the paychecks that they're receiving. And that is literally $10 or a little more than $10 an hour being taken from student clubs and organizations, whether it's through a budget or through a grant. So one thing that I'm going to do is make sure that I'm gonna budget down. So I'm gonna start with the clubs and orgs, and I'm gonna make my way down, filling in all the blanks after.
Okay, so one of the main things that I feel like, so budget cutting, I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, just similar to what Alex said, but the truth is sometimes you have to do it, especially if you're staying with the same $99 a semester per student every year. One of the first things that I think I really will cut down on is, and I'm gonna say it's, just plain right say it, the hockey team's funding. And the reason why I say that, I don't mean the entire thing, it's $99,000, but the reason is because it's an off-campus club. We're literally paying $99,000 to a club, maybe less than 30 men, to play hockey off campus. No students can go to their games. There's no transportation to those students' games. Even if there were, we would need to pay for the transportation. So I do see a need for a hockey team, but I don't see a need to spend $99,000 on it. Hence the reason why there was a cap placed last year by the Senate. So that's my answer as to what I would cut.
Okay, so for rebuttal, your rebuttal can be 30 seconds.
Oh, yes. So I just wanted to mention, being that I'm part of the current USG Executive Council, this year we actually tried our very best to cut down on the hours that we use. We actually even had an Appropriations Act given away from Academic Affairs Office, who had like 30 hours a week, and given to the Office of Student Life, who definitely needs it, and it made it 45 hours. So we've been trying our best to use our hours efficiently. And even if, for example, one of my students weren't to use their hours, I would ask for them to help the Student Activities Office, which I currently do.
I first want to, I guess, shuffling, just to be frank, shuffling hours is not cutting hours. just for the record. So moving hours from academic affairs to student life is not doing what I said, but that's besides the point. Also, one thing that I want to do as someone who did vote on the budget last year and did approve hockey, I'm already at 20 seconds. All right, either way, just the club mission is to play hockey, and if it costs $450 an hour for ice time, we're basically cutting off their legs, so they wouldn't be able to play hockey if we...
So in past years, as well as this year, I've noticed a lot of people have mentioned integrating commuter students more into the resident population here at this university, or improving the university life for commuter students, but I've seen very little, almost nothing done for commuter students by USG. So my question is, what do you plan on doing differently that you didn't do last year, you didn't do this semester, or you haven't seen done in past years?
Okay, I can answer that question. Today, actually very funny, at today's SAB meeting, I actually talked a little bit about commuters. Not necessarily their commuter lounge, but definitely what the commuters use. The pool table actually got removed from the second floor of the SAC and brought to the campus rec for appropriate reasons, well, what they seemed were appropriate reasons, which was because the GSO cafe, the U cafe was sort of moved to the second floor of the SAC. So being that they were using that space, the pool table wasn't, I guess, appropriate for that, venue now. So one of the things that it definitely would be changing, which I feel like I definitely slacked on this semester, is actually involving USG more with CSA events, and definitely using the commuter students outlet that's already there and built by James, and definitely utilizing that and just piggybacking on SAB with that, if that makes sense. Sorry. Yeah, that's it. That's my answer.
So I just want to preface only by saying that our candidate for VP Clubs and Orgs, who actually couldn't make it today, she's part of CSA right now, right? So she's a commuter herself, or she was a commuter. Treasurer.
She was the treasurer.
Was the treasurer, okay, sorry. And so she's very much aware of that, being a commuter herself, about the issues that commuters face. One thing I can say is that a lot of events at Stony Brook happen Friday nights, Saturday nights, or whatever, right? On the weekends, or really late at night on the weekdays, right? For a commuter student who drives 45 minutes to get to college, right? That's impractical, right? You're not going to drive 45 minutes for an event unless it's really, really important to you. So one thing that I focus on is having more events during normal hours, right? The fact of if it's you don't have class from 12 to 4, nothing's happening, right? But you want to go home after 4 or 5 o'clock when class ends. If all our events are at 9 p.m. or Saturday nights, then of course the commuters will feel isolated because they just can't attend. It's much more inconvenient for them to attend than myself as a resident to attend these kind of events.
Thank you. So now we're going to move on to specific questions per candidate for each team. So I'm going to start with Ayan. Ayan, sorry. Okay.
It's a crayon, not the cray.
Ready? What?
Crayon without the cray.
Oh. Okay, Lydia has been in USG for 2 years. What makes you think you can do a better job than her despite her experience?
Sure, so what I can tell you is that I'm running to hopefully be the next president of USG, right? And ever since the first day I stepped on campus, I've been working for the current president, Coley. And through my experiences working in that office, I've helped his initiatives for the 24-hour library, for the renovations for the library, for free laundry. For one thing I've personally done is that I've worked with President Stanley and the provost to get rid of, and the dean of the AMS department, to get rid of grade deflation in the math department. So not only have I seen and aided Cole in the events that he has undertaken in the past 2 years, I've expanded that and made my own of it.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so the next question is for Lydia. And this is a question about what you campaigned, what one of your platforms were from last year. So last year you successfully ran for VP of Clubs and Organizations, and you campaigned partly on fighting for air conditioning for all dorms. Sorry. You also said you would fight for discounted LIRR tickets for commuter students. What has become of those initiatives?
Unfortunately, those initiatives were unable to be, implemented because we realized that after talking to specific people that it wasn't going to be necessarily feasible. However, if you look at other things that were on my platform statement, such as achieving more space for clubs and organizations, such as trying my very best to advocate for clubs and orgs and making sure that they have the appropriate sources to advertise their events, etc. Those things were most certainly achieved, and I think those are definitely more important to my specific position.
Okay,
Can I?
thank you very much. Yes, you have 30 seconds for a rebuttal.
Sure. So I just want to say, with all due respect with you, the things that I have on my party platform and for myself are things that I know are tangible and things that are realistic. So for example, for the course retake policy, right? I'm currently working with the provost on that. When the provost just came in November, I was the first student to meet with them in regards to this issue, right? And to change the course retake policy. For the downward curving, I've already eliminated that from the AMS department, and it'd be, obviously I had the experience to do that overall for the student body. That's my time.
Can I, respond to that?
Yes, it has to be video.
All right, so sometimes you put certain things on your platform statement and you definitely are gonna try your very best to advocate for them, but sometimes things just don't work out and you can't ensure every single thing on your platform statement because nothing is a sure thing. That's why I don't make promises. I'm not gonna say, I promise this is gonna happen because I really don't know. Nothing is certain in life.
Okay, so the next question is for Executive Vice President, Presidential Candidate Christina Dorff. And the question is, we know that you are a big part of RHA, that you've dedicated a lot of time to that organization. What led you to make the decision to run for Executive Vice President in USG instead of running for a position in RHA?
Okay, so to be completely honest, deciding to run for USG is probably one of the hardest decisions I've ever made because RHA is such a home for me. But when I joined RHA, I did not know what I was getting into. I was kind of just thrown into it. And through that, I've just grown a lot, and I've been able to advocate for residents. And when I was given I saw the opportunity that I can just expand that to all over the entire campus and not just the residents. It took me a lot time to think about it, and I weighed out all the pros and cons. And I decided that just because I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to have what I'm having right now, that doesn't mean I shouldn't run for USG and put myself out there, because I believe I'm extremely qualified for this position, and I really am very passionate about advocating for students and making sure that all the changes that they want to see get put into place. And this is just, if I were elected to this position, it would be me doing what I'm doing right now, which I love to death, but just on a larger platform. And with that, I'll yield.